Hi. You're listening to the Corporate Cleanse podcast, where we talk about the pros and cons of corporate life and how I, a former fancy executive, hit full burnout and am now on a journey to explore how we all can maintain our sanity and sense of self, all while climbing the corporate ladder. I hope you enjoy listening along with me and know that everyone needs, occasionally, a corporate cleanse. So I have a list of topics that are kind of spicier topics, like not crazy spicy, but definitely not spoken about a lot, which is, I think, why they're spicy topics, because no one wants to talk about them. So I am so excited to talk about today's topic. It's something that I have thought a lot about, and it's varied from like strong opinions, hot takes, to long conversations with my family and friends and coworkers about whether or not you need to be passionate about your job. I'm so excited. There's so much to talk about here. So where did this topic come from? Okay. A couple things have recently come up that have made me want to dig into this topic. Tons of introspection about my career and what I'm passionate about in my life. And I've actually received some criticism about this in my past, about not being passionate enough about my job, or not being passionate enough about the software or the company mission or the products. And I have peddled a lot of software in my day. I have survey software, developer tools, dental software, legal software. And fair, I don't think any of those were my life calling to consider passionate, or the definition of passionate, which is strong feelings, strong belief. None of those have felt especially passionate to me. My husband is an aerospace engineer by education. He's now turned product manager. He's now a corporate girly, with a voracious hunger to help fix the climate crisis. And so outside of my job, we've had so many conversations about Elon Musk and the people who pour 80 hours a week into their work to send people to Mars, or just people who are so bought into the mission that they are happily sacrificing everything to do it. And there are some causes that warrant this, right? I would say solving the climate crisis, or people that work in animal sanctuaries, right? This is passionate work. Some types of work, I think, warrant this feeling, or doctors. I have a brilliant friend who just got matched for her surgical residency to literally save lives. She's saving lives. And sort of the pros and cons of that kind of mission, that kind of drive, that kind of passion, that kind of sacrifice. And so this topic has really been swirling around my head about okay, if I've never been passionate about a job, do I need to be before I enter the workforce again? What am I passionate about outside of work? And I have personally always felt really at odds with this concept of being passionate about work. And maybe I'm just dead inside. But there are a few things that I am passionate about, honestly. Passion is a heavy word, man. Passion is that kid screaming and going absolutely feral after getting an N64 for Christmas. You remember that video? He's just he's feral. He's opening it up and he's screaming because he's so excited about this N64. And passion is something that I have really reserved for, don't know, other things like saving kittens, you know? I haven't really been passionate about anything since my Beanie Baby collection. I have so many Beanie Babies. It's wild. I don't even know what happened. I think I just went into like a fugue state from like, I don't know, was this 1999? I don't even remember. But the hunt for the Beanie Babies was, I'll say it, passionate, the hunt. And like all the quotes you see on Instagram or Pinterest, like those moody ones, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I'll tell you, I have loved what I do sometimes. I have, and I've worked every day of my life. So, and I've done okay. I've done okay loving what I do or caring about what I do, but maybe not being passionate about it. And we all remember that Jim Carrey commencement speech. It was very controversial. He was like, it wasn't about doing what you love or chasing your dreams. It was like doing what makes you valuable. And I remember that really resonating with me. I was like, yeah, I'm not passionate about survey software, but I'm pretty good at marketing software, and it feels good to do what you're good at. It feels good to do what you're bringing value to. So that's today's topic. I want to talk about what this means to be passionate about your job, if it's realistic, and if it's not, like, and also, should you be passionate about your job? Should you not be? And I mean, you can probably sense where I stand on this one already, just from the intro. But I've done a lot of research. I have, and I've got a lot of bullet points ready to go. I have compelling shit, so please keep listening, even though it's likely clear where I stand on this topic. First, let's talk about where this notion comes from, being passionate about your job. It's a question almost all of us are asked in the interview process. In not so many words, it's usually something like, why do you want to work for X? Like, why do you want to work for this company? Why do you want to work for us? And this is usually a veiled test on whether you've done your research by looking up the company website, consumed what they said as their mission and their vision, and whether that resonates enough for you to work there, whether that resonates enough for you to do the best work of your life. So you can assure this recruiter, this hiring manager, that you will do the best work of your life because your motivators aren't selfish things like money, security, job satisfaction. Your motivators are altruistic because you genuinely want to help do whatever the company mission is, or whatever the company is doing, whatever the company is providing, whether you're paid or not. You would just enjoy doing this because you're so passionate about this. And like, I sometimes feel that these recruiters genuinely want you to say something like, being paid is just a bonus because I just really want to help market research professionals do their jobs better. That's how passionate I feel like some of us feel like you need to be on these calls. You need to just be so bought into the mission, so passionate about the cause. So listen, I used to work in corporate strategy and marketing. So company mission and vision statements were like my bread and butter. Those were always the thing I had to do. Like, Jen, come up with the company vision, come up with the company mission. So I have researched and I have cataloged a lot of company mission and vision statements. And none of them are like, we want to make calendaring easy with moderately priced software and just okay support, right? Like no one's actually telling the truth, like just the hard truth of what their company is actually providing. They want something big and altruistic and world-changing. So some of the statements I've seen from these companies, okay? Stripe. Stripe is help increase the GDP of the internet, right? It's like, it's just such this big horizon dream that everyone's like, oh, I get it. I'm not just collecting a paycheck. I am increasing the GDP of the internet. Now listen, I love Stripe. I think Stripe's a great company. But this is like what these mission statements tend to be. I saw another one, powering the heart of business, the meaningful connections between teams and customers. Like it feels like one of those like animal shelter commercials with Sarah McLachlan playing, that it's just trying to tug on our heartstrings with these mission statements. We help teams see and build the future. Like, what does that even mean? What am I doing? You're helping me see the future and you're helping me build the future. The future of what? Databricks, which is also a fantastic company, is the data and AI company, helping data teams solve the world's toughest problems. Which, like, I guess the world's toughest problems need data and need AI. So, like, okay. Another one, a purpose-driven company making work better for people and guides everything we do. We're bringing video messaging to work and empowering everyone to communicate more effectively wherever they are. Now, when you look at those and like you kind of squint, you're like, okay, maybe, like, yeah, I guess I can kind of see how me writing this Google ad copy is helping build the future of just the future. So there are all these kind of like very hopeful squint, look at it from far away, and you're like, oh yeah, I see it. I see the mission. I see the value. I see this life-changing mission and goal for this company. I saw this tweet once that said something like, if I see one more software company tell me that they're going to help me, quote, focus on what matters, end quote, I'm going to lose it. Every single company has somehow gotten to this iteration of like, we do calendaring tools so that you can spend time on what matters. We do project management software so you can focus on what matters. Like this altruistic mission of, because this software, because you use our software or whatever product, you can then focus on what matters in your life, your family, your friends, your hobbies, your pets. And every single company, including all the ones that I've worked for, I have worked on these company mission statements to something of that effect of like, I want to help you focus on what matters. Because that is what all companies want to tout. They do. They want to. An altruistic mission and vision. Nothing about profits, nothing about increasing value for shareholders. It's to help the world be better. Because that drives people to do their best work of their lives. But are the majority of companies actually making the world better? Or are most companies just making specific things a little easier for specific people, right? More convenient, a little faster, a little seamless. And maybe my jaded self would just rather that. I'd rather be like Canva, Canva. I love Canva. I wish Canva would be like, hey, you didn't get a design degree. That's okay. We're going to dumb down some of these Adobe tools so that you can create some pretty graphics for whatever you need them for. I'd buy into that. I'd be like, yeah, I 100% see how I fit into that. You're not trying to change the world. You're just trying to make my life a little easier and make me feel a little less bad about not having a graphic design degree, right? So I really want to talk about this because I think this question, are you passionate about what you do, can be a little toxic, right? If you're not passionate about your job and everyone is saying that it is, and that saying that you're passionate about your job, being passionate about your job is crucial and table stakes and non-negotiable. Don't you feel a little gaslit? Or do you often feel like something might be wrong with you? I know I did. When I got that feedback that was like, I don't think you're passionate about what we do. And I was like, well, do I need to be? And am I wrong for not feeling that way? Is everyone else feeling passionate about their job and I'm just like the jaded loser in the corner that's like just can't get on board? You feel weird. You feel alien. You feel gaslit. And I don't want anyone to feel this way. So we're going to tackle this topic. The first thing I want to talk about, is it realistic to be passionate about your job? Like, just straight up, is this realistic? The definition is to be passionate about something means to have a strong and intense emotional connection to it. It involves having a deep interest, enthusiasm, and excitement for a particular activity, idea, or pursuit. When you are passionate about something, you are highly motivated to pursue it. And you may even feel a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and joy when you engage in it. Passion can drive people to overcome obstacles, take risks, and push themselves beyond their limits to achieve their goals. I'm going to repeat that again. Push themselves to go beyond their limits to achieve their goals. It is often described as a powerful force that can inspire and energize individuals to create meaningful and fulfilling lives, okay? When you take a look at that definition, obviously, companies, bosses, leadership, management want you to be passionate about your job, right? Because the belief that people can and should be passionate about their job, you almost don't need to ask these employees to push beyond their limits, right? They just want to do that because they're passionate about your company's mission. So you don't have to say anything. You just have hired all these maniacal fans that will willingly give up their time. So like, of course, your boss wants you to be passionate. Of course, the CEO wants you to be passionate about your job. Like, we just saw that viral video of that CEO saying, just be passionate, leave Pity City and drive toward the $26 million goal, regardless of whether you get your bonus or not. That is why companies want you to be passionate, because you've somehow then left behind all of your personal wants and desires and goals, and you only care about the company's success. Which is like, when you think about it, how many CEOs don't collect a paycheck? How many CEOs aren't directly compensated for the success of their company? Right? And so when you have these CEOs tell you that you just need to be so passionate about the company's success and to not think about your success, just think about the company's success, it's like, well, you're not even just passionate about the company's success. You're passionate about the company's success and then the bonus that you're going to get at the end of the year because of the company's success, right? Oh, I don't feel like this is talked about enough, because CEO's salary has increased, like, I don't know, 30 times or 300 times, some crazy number over the last decade, because their success is tied. Their financial success is tied to the company's success. And if your financial success isn't tied to the company's success, it's hard. It's hard to be like, okay, I guess I'll just care about this company's goal, whether or not I get my bonus or not. So companies want to create this kind of passion that drives human achievement intrinsically. So they have created mission statements. That's why every single company that you come across or that you consume has a mission statement. They have vision statements. They also have values. I love these values that companies started having. I think I was still at Qualtrics when I started seeing these like values pop up. Where did these come from? Was it Zappos? What company was it? Some company decided to come up with values, and then every company was like, we have values. And then they'd go to their marketing team and they'd be like, create our values. So all companies have these because they want employees to create an emotional connection that goes beyond their typical clock in, clock out type of work. And I totally get that. I really do. No one wants to work with people who are bored and unmotivated. So I do understand a company's desire to get this type of passion from their employees. Thus, mission statements. So I'm not going to hate on mission statements, okay? And they're probably not going anywhere just because I say they're useless. Companies want to try and create an emotional connection with their employees, which is fine. I would like to have an emotional connection with my company as well. But I think it starts to get a little toxic when that doesn't become your end all be all. That company mission statement doesn't become what you eat, breathe, sleep, think about in the shower, think about the first thing you wake up, think about as you go to bed, think about at your kids' t-ball game, right? It starts to get a little toxic. So is it realistic? Is it realistic to be passionate about your job? And is it realistic for people to expect this? I think the first way you can be passionate about your job is compatibility with your interests and values. Like outside of work, whatever your interests and values are, if your job aligns, you may be more likely to develop a passion for it. However, if there is a significant mismatch between your job and your interests, it may be difficult to sustain passion over the long term. If you are a dentist, for example, and you started a dental software company, you may find it easier to be passionate about your work because you have lived the pains you are trying to solve. I see this a lot in software. Some professional had a hard time sending appointment reminders, and we're like, I'll make software for this, right? If you work maybe at a climate tech company and you are deeply driven to save our planet, then yes, you can develop passion here. But not a lot of us have this luxury, okay? So many things have to line up here for you for there to be compatibility with your interests and your values. You have to first find a company that you are interested in. Like whatever you're interested in, that company has to do something to help that. You have to have your skills match the needs of the company, which is difficult. That is difficult, especially in a hiring crisis like we are right now, where there aren't a lot of roles available. You have to have a company that is located in a place that allows you to work there. You have to have a company pay you what you need and what you want. So much has to line up. In order for you to feel this compatibility, so much has to line up. So I would venture to say that it is a luxury. It is a luxury, especially, again, in a job market like this. A lot of people are just trying to get a job, just a job that maybe meets one or two of those things, that maybe pays you and that has a role that fits your skills. That's enough right now in today's crazy market. You also have to be in sync with the demands of the job and stress levels required. Some jobs may be inherently more demanding or stressful than others, which can make it challenging to feel passionate about them. For example, SpaceX. We've all heard the stories. Elon Musk saw like a line of interns at the coffee machine, I guess. He was like walking down the hallway, saw this line waiting for coffee. He fires them all and then installs a surveillance camera at that spot to ensure that no one waits in line for coffee. It's wild. It's wild. Like, so there are certain companies that just burn people out. That's just kind of the culture or you know, what the company is known for. Like when I was early in my career, Goldman Sachs was that. We just knew they'd just eat people up and spit them out. But then you'd have this great name on your resume and all these great skills. So it's hard to be passionate about the company, even if your interests line up, if you are barely surviving, if your basic needs, like on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I find fascinating, I find this hierarchy of needs to be philosophy at its finest. I use it in so many places of my life because I think it's so fascinating to kind of figure out this, like, again, hierarchy of needs. But Maslow has self-actualization at the very tippy top, this passion, fulfillment, personal growth, self-mastery can only happen after a lot of other needs are met. A lot. Like, so much has to line up for you to have the privilege, the luxury of being passionate about your job and your personal circumstances, right? So let's say your personal interests line up, the job demands and stress levels and the pay is all good. Your personal circumstances can also impact your ability to be passionate about your job. Health issues, again, hierarchy of needs. If you have some tough health issues with you, your family, your loved ones, your close ones, it's going to be tough to reach self-actualization. It is. Even if you are passionate about kittens and work at an animal sanctuary, right? If you have health issues, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to feel that. Struggling with money and financial pressures, family obligations, lack of emotional or mental bandwidth. So even if you find your dream company that you are passionate about, your other needs have to be met as well to reach that quote unquote passionate place about your job and your company. And so in general, and this is my opinion only, this is my slightly spicy hot take, being passionate about your job or the expectation of being passionate about your job reeks of privilege. It does. It just reeks of privilege. Being able to be passionate about your job is a very, very, very privileged place to be. It means that you have all of your other needs met. Psychological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, money needs, and that you had the luxury to pick and choose a company that aligns with your interests. So in my mind, if someone is gaslighting you or making you feel guilty about not being passionate about that job or your job, please consider that person's privilege and the circumstances that they get to be passionate about what they do. It's a privilege. It is. It's a great privilege. And I am stoked for the people that have found it. Like, congratulations. What a great place to be. But I think we all should acknowledge that it is just frankly a privilege and it isn't realistic, sustainable, attainable, or accessible for everyone. Right? Like I when someone gave me this feedback that I wasn't passionate about X software, I went home and I really thought about that for a long time. Like, it really ate away at me because my personal inner dialogue was, what's wrong with you, Jen? What's wrong with you that you can't get so passionate about solving end-to-end workflow needs for legal professionals? Why can't you just feel it in your bones and just get so excited? Maybe you're not talking to enough customers. Maybe you need to go to an event and talk to these customers so that you can intrinsically tie yourself to the company mission, right? It really took a toll on myself. It took a toll on my self-esteem. It took a toll on what I thought about myself and whether I felt like I should have been at that company. I was like, well, if I'm not feeling this way and everyone else is, maybe I shouldn't be here. Right? This type of psychological manipulation, please be aware of it, that if you don't necessarily feel super passionate about your job, if you aren't reaching self-actualization, there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. And no, you shouldn't quit your job. And no, you shouldn't let your boss or the CEO bully you out of that company. Okay. You're still working on your other needs. You're still working on your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're still trying to figure out the other things that you need before you can reach self-actualization and self-mastery. So let's talk about the drawbacks of being passionate about your job. Let's say all the stars align, all those stars, those 90 stars, and you get the privilege to be passionate about your job. It's wonderful. But there are also some downfalls about being passionate about what you do. Okay? The first is this developing this above all else mentality. I've seen this, especially with founder CEOs. I've worked with a lot of founder CEOs that started the company and then still transition and maintain the role of CEO. Because it was born out of a passion of theirs, right? There tends to be this above all else mentality. Being solely driven by the passion you have for the company can sometimes lead to this company above all else. And on top of that, some kind of self-righteousness in that claim, right? I think we've seen this. We've seen this with the layoffs over the last couple of months, that there tends to be sort of this, don't worry about yourself, worry about the company. Above all else, company success. I'm sure some of you who are working right now in the corporate world have seen a lot of, company all hands where the CEO gets on and says, 70 million, that's our goal. We got to hit it. No matter what, we got to hit it. Right? This above all else mentality that we've got to hit this or else. That you need to sacrifice everything. Make shitty decisions. Hurt people. Sacrifice people. Lay off people. Cut bonuses. Cut perks. Cut benefits. All in the name of the company and the job. And doing that while also feeling like it is the objectively right decision, right? It's this combination of company above all else and self-righteousness. It's this combo that I find maddening, really. Whenever I see it on LinkedIn, I'm just like, oh man, because it's just privilege. It's so much privilege. And it's also shaming. It's so shaming to make people feel like they don't care enough, right? When they don't have millions of dollars on the line for the company's success and then making them feel badly about not being passionate about it. Oh, it really gets me like deep in my bones. I'm like, oh, my justice complex just goes crazy. But this type of extreme thinking is why I think CEOs are really spotlighted right now and not in a good way, right? Like you read some Glassdoor reviews and CEOs are not doing well. They are not winning popularity contests. They are not liked right now because company success above all else that is driven from passion, right? It came from a good place, sometimes gets put above human rights, above empathy, above the decent thing to do, above connection is company success. And I understand that most companies right now are having to make hard decisions to stay alive, to not die, right? So to keep the company going, to employ the people that are still there. So I understand that there are hard decisions to be made, but coupling the hard decisions to be made with this unapologetic, righteous indignation, defense of these tough decisions is what I find really hard to stomach, right? I've seen a couple of CEOs that have gone through layoffs that are very human about it. They're like, these are hard decisions to keep the company afloat. But I've also seen the opposite where there is company success above all else. I think being passionate about what you do leads to ignoring other important aspects of life outside of work. It does. We have seen these people. I'm sure you have. Like, you have a coworker that is so passionate about the company, right? Goes on vacation to a remote place, camping, brings like a generator with them so that they can have Wi-Fi access, right? You start to prioritize what you're passionate about, which is your job, over other things in your life outside of work, your family, taking a camping trip and just chilling out for a couple of days, right? I think this also can lead to not having enough passion in other areas of your life. This is a huge one I see. When you do have the privilege of being passionate about your job and you're loving it, you love what you do, you love what you're learning, there isn't a lot left for anything else. Like, let's say you used to be passionate about painting or creating music or crocheting or, I don't know, collecting teapots, right? Or volunteering. I don't know. Like, you have all these things, or whatever floats your boat, really. Any of your passions. You don't necessarily have enough energy after you've given your job so much passion to go after these things that you once enjoyed. I think another thing that being passionate about your job drives, which I am guilty of, even though I don't think I've actually been passionate about any job, I've definitely cared. It makes you overly emotional about work-related issues. Overly emotional about work-related issues. We have all worked with these people. I have been one of them a handful of times where the passion, of course, passion, brings emotions and infuses so much emotion and personal attachment to business decisions, where you start to lose reasoning and objective thinking and calm thinking because you're just so passionate, right? And this can become toxic. I think when you read reviews about toxic work cultures, it comes from this, that there's too much passion infused in day-to-day work operations, business operations, decisions that should be made without bias. And again, this makes companies, I think, a really toxic place and honestly kind of a scary place to be, because you're like, whoa, man, we're just going to go home. I'm probably going to make a lean cuisine because that's all I have time to do. We're all in the same place in this human experience, but making work this like gladiator style life or death isn't fun. That's not fun. Those aren't fun group projects when there's always that one kid that's like so passionate that you're like, whoa, let's take a step back. Being passionate about your job can also lead to burnout, tons of self-sacrifice, right? Like, again, above all else, I'm willing to sacrifice everything. And it also creates a ton of tunnel vision and a ton of biases. I've seen this again, especially founder CEOs, where the passion is so focused that there's tunnel vision. You lose your peripheral vision and you only think about one thing, company success. And that creates a lot of blind spots and a lot of biases. So, spoiler alert, I think where I've landed on this topic is being passionate about your job is a privilege, a highly exclusive privilege. And I think the key is finding balance, finding aspects of passion inside and outside of your job. I don't think that there's much success to be had in putting all of your eggs in one basket and making your only passion in life your company mission and your job. I think the key is finding aspects to be passionate about inside and outside of your job. Research has shown that job satisfaction is more closely related to autonomy and the ability to apply one's skills than it is to be passionate, than it is to, have passion for what you do. A study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that job satisfaction was more strongly correlated with autonomy and skill utilization than with passion or interest in the job itself, right? Another study published by HBR, Harvard Business Review, found that employees were more satisfied with their jobs when they had a sense of autonomy and they were, again, able to apply their skills in a meaningful way, right? So true job satisfaction, true effort and work doesn't necessarily come in making this employee passionate about dental software, right? It comes from making that employee feel autonomous in applying their skills to the work. I haven't read it, but my husband is reading it right now, and we've had some really good discussions on it. It's this book, How Will You Measure Your Life by Clayton Christensen. He talks about motivation factors that can be classified in two areas. One are hygiene factors, and one is motivators. Hygiene factors are things like basic necessities that need to be met in a job, such as salary, job security, and working conditions. Motivators, on the other hand, are the factors that drive job satisfaction, such as meaningful work, recognition, achievement. And you know what? Meaningful work, recognition, and achievement can be found in any company, no matter where you're working at. McDonald's, Starbucks, Glossier, Podium, Adobe, right? Any company that you work at, you can find meaningful work, recognition, and achievement. So if you can find a company that aligns with your interests, great. I'm happy for you. Chase that. But if you can't, because your hierarchy of needs and job scarcity in general, find things that you can be passionate about and let that be okay. Let's say you find passion in your earning potential. This is what we talked about this in a couple episodes back. This is what I was passionate about. I was like, money. I got to make some money. I got to get some resources. I got to feel safe. I got to provide for myself and my family. So your ability to be paid and rewarded for the work that you do. And I guess Clayton Christensen would classify this as a hygiene factor, but it also is kind of recognition too, which is also a motivating factor, right? Your earning potential can be something that you can find a lot of passion in. Your ability to learn and apply your skills. Find passion here. Find passion in, I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to learn skills. I want to apply my skills. You can find passion in your autonomy to make big decisions, to take big projects, freedom to experiment, freedom to try new things, freedom to learn, freedom to be creative. I think you can find a lot of passion in your autonomy and achievement. I think achievement can also be so motivating, and you can find so much passion in just wanting to achieve. You want to have a big impact. You don't want to be a cog in the wheel. You want to achieve. You want to accomplish. You can find passion here. So I haven't been passionate about all the jobs and the company missions I've touted, but I have found passion in one of those things at some point, at varying points in my career. I have found passion in my earning potential. I have found passion in learning, in skill building, autonomy, recognition, impact, achievement. I have found passion in these things. I have cared. I've been driven. I've strived. Is that strove? Strived. I have strived for those things because I have found passion in those things. And as a people leader and as a hiring manager, I think we all need to embrace that that is okay. Good even. If a candidate doesn't spout some forced rhetoric around why they're passionate about SaaS and software, but around their personal career and achievement. It baffles me why we have made some of these motivation factors somehow selfish. We have somehow villainized people who say they want to advance their own career and their own skills, and that's why they want to work for a company. That is villainized, right? Having someone say, I want to work here because it pays a lot, is villainized. Why? Why? Because you can imagine somebody's hustle to make money, that would yield some impressive performance, right? I think sales is a really great example of this. You tie money to performance for people who are very money motivated. And somehow we want sales people to lie and say they care about software rather than, I want to make a lot of money. Be like, yeah, man, get in it. Get in there, make your money. I would rather have someone be upfront about their motivators. And you know what? Someone being motivated about their personal growth, their personal achievement, their personal earning potential, those are driven ass people. Those are awesome people. Those are people who will apply themselves to the work and who will be creative, who will push, who will experiment, who will care. The number one attribute, people ask all the time, when you're hiring a team, what do you look for? I look for someone who is motivated about their personal growth. The number one attribute I look for is someone that is hungry. And I hate that. I hate that that's a tech term when like, are you hungry? But I think that's a good term for it. It is someone who is hungry to grow, hungry to learn, to push, to succeed. I'll give you an example. Someone I worked with, her name's Annalisa. She's wonderful. She had applied when I worked at Weave, and it wasn't quite a fit. And she asked for feedback. So I gave her feedback. I gave her, a couple bullet points. I think it was maybe a year later or a year and a half later when I was working at Filevine, she messaged me on LinkedIn and she said, hey, these are the things I worked on. Like a year and a half later, this is the feedback you gave me and these are the things that I've done to fix it. I hired her immediately. Because that type of dedication to personal growth, that type of dedication to being autonomous, to wanting to grow their career, those are performers and those are strong performers and those will carry you far. And I'm still really impressed with that example to this day. So pro tip, if you're looking for a job and someone gives you feedback, try again in 3 to 4 months and get ready to show what you've done to improve on those things. Clayton Christensen, again, he argues that it is important to focus on motivators rather than hygiene factors when it comes to job satisfaction. He believes that people need to feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment in their work to be truly satisfied. He suggests that individuals should ask themselves what they would do if money was not a factor and strive to find work that aligns with their passions and values. So I think there's a little bit of both in here, right? Like, I don't think it is you need to be just passionate about your job or you need to just be passionate about money. I think it's something in between. What are you getting out of this job? I think that's a really good self-reflection question that we all should ask, probably on a monthly basis. What am I getting from my job? Am I getting money? Great. Am I getting autonomy? Great. Am I getting a sense of achievement and recognition? Is my boss just incredibly open and sharing with encouragement and recognition? That is something to get passionate about. So I don't have a perfect answer. If a recruiter or a hiring manager asks why you want to work for X company, it might not be super advantageous to say it's a great place to apply my skills so I can find self-actualization. That might not be it. That might not be the answer. But maybe it is realistic to keep doing your website research, right? Find an aspect of the company that you can be passionate about. Like, is it a culture of learning and you love to learn? You can find some passion there. Are there great and respectful people that work there? Yeah, I can get passionate about that because that's harder to find than you would think. But find an aspect of the job or the company or the work that you can be passionate about. And in your personal life and your relationship with your job and passion, don't let anyone make you feel guilty about not being passionate. It is a privilege, regardless of what anyone says. It's a privilege. It's a luxury, and it isn't accessible for everyone. Find aspects of your life to be passionate about inside and outside of work, your earning potential, your recognition, right? Like find something, and don't neglect the other aspects of your life. Think of passion as like a gas tank. Passion is usually energy, right? You put your energy toward what you're passionate about. So save some of your energy for other aspects of your life and your relationships and your hobbies and your side projects and your side hustles. Save some. I encourage you all to reflect on your own values and priorities when it comes to your corporate career and explore how passion can fit into that, right? Not the other way around, not how you can change yourself to be passionate about your job, but how you can fit passion into your job, how you can find pieces of your job that you can be passionate about. It is okay to have a balance of passion and practicality. It is okay to say, I'm passionate about the people, and this meets my needs. It meets my needs. And I truly, I think we would all prefer to work with humans who balance this, right? I have always loved working with people who look at it as, it's just work. Like when we're at work, we're going to push hard. We're going to push each other. We're going to succeed. We're going to strive. But at the end of the day, it's just work. It's not the end all be all. And those are the type of people that I want to work with. That's the type of person I want to be, is somebody who enters the workforce with that level of calm and understanding and self-reflection and self-awareness that it's just work and we can find areas to be passionate about. But maybe being passionate about what the company does, about survey software, isn't the key. And it's okay. It's okay that it's not the key to not be passionate about survey software. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have today. Thank you so much for joining today on this slightly spicy topic. Medium spicy, medium 0.5 spicy. And I'll see you next time.